Wow, are those federal troops using less lethal munitions on Antifa during Biden's America? Who would have thought things won't change? Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Ugradowski of WeAreChange.org. A lot of important issues to get into today. Not just the civil unrest all throughout the United States, but also very interesting troop movements, not only to parking lots, but most likely to other far-off lands, for of course the benefit of the military-industrial complex. Also, we're getting some reports of adverse side effects from Dr. Fauci after he just received the jab. So yes, lots of news to talk about and to uncover right now, all on this independent media network brought to you by you and your support on wearechange.org/donate. There's many ways you could support us. $5 a month, cryptocurrencies, physical mail, checking out some of the products we work with and trust, and even ways without spending a dime. Check them all out on wearechange.org/donate. Your support is greatly appreciated as we work very hard here to have viewer satisfaction rates that are pretty high. Unlike the majority of the videos on the White House official YouTube channel that surprisingly for many people are showing huge downvotes of the new president of the United States, Joe Biden. Now, of course, not everyone is dissatisfied like the rest of the population. We, of course, have the mainstream media elites that are getting chills and they're crying because of the celebration of their gang member finally becoming ruler of the territory. Whether it's Kleenexes for Rachel Maddow, extremely strange analogies by CNN about Joe Biden's arms embracing America, which someone should really tell CNN is not really the most appropriate comment you can make with Joe Biden. Seriously, what was CNN thinking describing the long stretch of lights at the Lincoln Memorial to Biden's arms embracing America? Not to be outdone, Al Roker got his fist bump, and everyone else is just talking about absolute aesthetics like clothing and fashion, rather than, the actual core issues that affect you and actually matter in this country, showing again how out of touch the mainstream media is with the general public. And in related terms about absolute nonsense, Joe Biden signed his first of many executive orders, decrees put forward by him that were not passed by the House or Senate. One of the first ones, of course, being not about the failing wages, not about the huge healthcare costs, not about the collapsing economy or the opioid epidemic or the shipment of fentanyl into the United States by China, but the priority of Joe Biden and his presidency was to sign an executive order that is going to be forcing schools to include transgender athletes in girls' sports. Yes, so the first major action that the U.S. president decided to take is pushing schools and making it compulsory to allow transgender female students to compete in girl sports. This, of course, according to many people in science, will put actual girls at a huge disadvantage, and many critics are saying that he is, quote, erasing women with this executive order. Now, of course, this is a very controversial issue that people have very strong opinions on, and it's definitely fair to say that this is definitely not a unifying executive order meant to, of course, bring people together, as, of course, this is sparking outrage and debate all throughout this country. Now, another issue that should be widely debated, but is not and largely ignored, is, of course, the large troop movements that are happening now, according to some reports coming out of Beirut, Lebanon, detailing how a large U.S. military convoy is now seen entering northeastern Syria. This is, of course, right after the government of Syria issued a letter to the United Nations demanding that the United States immediately withdraw from its country, and it looks like if these reports reports are correct, the United States said, screw you, we're bringing in more soldiers. Now, this report seems to be corroborated since, of course, we're also getting other international reports of Russia sending more military hardware and reinforcements down, of course, to also the northeast Syria region, which of course both the United States and Russia have a military presence on. Now, of course, mass deployments and militarizations like this definitely do help companies like General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and others. And other than a few corporate profits for a small few companies, who else does this help or benefit? Why are we in Syria? What's the direct result of being there that will supposedly help the American people? Some serious questions need to be asked, and sadly, no one is asking them. As of course, it is very safe to say that there will be more aggressive foreign policy under the Joe Biden presidency that now has a very diverse group of neoconservatives, hawks, and special interests connected to the military-industrial complex that are in charge of the American military. And again, we're back to more ridiculous American foreign policy, as of course Russia has to answer to American escalations. Because of Russian escalations, America's going to have to answer back again, as of course previous Rothschild's banker and now current President Emmanuel Macron cheer it on and call for more greater involvement of the U.S. military in the Middle East and Africa, as of course would have bolstered military. France and Germany then in response have to spend a lot less money on their own personal defense. So yeah, win-win for them, the military-industrial complex, and a major loss for everyone else. Now, as all of this is happening, the mainstream media is literally concentrating on the race of the selected defense secretary, which to them is more important for diversity, rather than, of course, also him breaking federal law to do so. The same person who's announcing today that he is vowing to take on, quote, extremism in the military. This is right after many National Guardsmen troop were vetted with what many people akin to loyalty tests during their pointless guarding of the Capitol under the orders of Nancy Pelosi, that just a few weeks ago was taking a knee for Black Lives Matter and recently literally demanding armed machine gun turrets at the Capitol. Yes, according to many sources, Nancy Pelosi was asking for crew manned machine guns in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration when there was no threat at all. It was exaggerated for political purposes, as of course nothing happened. And a lot of these troops were just milling around, over 25,000 of them, all of course during a pandemic, sharing very limited restroom space, sleeping on the floor of the Capitol, or, as of recently, even being sent away from the Capitol and told to sleep in a parking lot. Yes, an entire battalion was kicked out of the Capitol and was told to move and sleep in the cold parking lot garage with 5,000 soldiers, one power outlet, one bathroom, after, of course, the U.S. Capitol kicked them out. Yes, these were some of the same individuals that would have given their life if ordered to protect this government, this Senate, and this president, who were literally thrown away to the gallows in horrible conditions, which shows you everything you need to know about government, as very correctly depicted by George Antonopoulos and his recent drawing. The Babylon Bee, I think, had the best satirical headline saying, quote, Biden tells freezing troops sleeping in garage to be patient until he can get them shipped to Iraq. Which, let's be honest here, most likely will be happening very soon. Which, you know, should be the bigger controversy here, but it's not. And ever since the photos went viral, the National Guard troops have been allowed back into the Capitol. We're also getting news that Donald Trump actually offered up his hotel room to the National Guard. Many other state governors are demanding the National Guard troops return back home. And we got to point out here, this was all absolutely pointless, served no real reason at all, and put these soldiers at risk because, according to the Democrats' own talking points, we need to social distance because there's a pandemic. Is this going to be a supposed super spreader event that the mainstream media is going to be hysterically crying about just like they do other gatherings at restaurants? No. No one just seems to care about the absolute hypocrisy on its face right now. And of course, a lot is changing under the Biden presidency. especially with how some Democratic government officials are deciding to treat this pandemic, as of course the District of Washington D.C. along with the state of Michigan just announced that they will be resuming shortly indoor dining. Dr. Fauci even made a statement about the numbers plateauing and things supposedly going back to normal, which really makes you come to the conclusion that a lot of this was very politically motivated. And now that Donald Trump is not in office, these major restrictions, the threat no longer being taken seriously by government officials, maybe soon we could start living our lives just like the politicians who never obeyed their restrictions. Maybe soon we could live our lives like the people in Wuhan are, who are partying and celebrating in record numbers. Or maybe soon we could live our lives like the President of the United States that just violated his own executive action, specifically detailing with making masks mandatory in federal buildings, which of course he didn't obey himself. Yes, this is a picture of Joe Biden and his family inside of what looks like the Lincoln Memorial, violating his own mask law and mandate that he put forward. The same man who said it's a patriotic act to wear masks, mandating it on all federal property, literally had his press secretary respond by saying, quote, "We have bigger issues to worry about." Now, if that's not a slap in the face of the average American who gets fined, penalized, and has his life destroyed because of the conholio sickness regulations and laws, I don't know what is. But regardless, Biden is still moving forward with his 100-day mask mandate, and now his, of course, shot and awe strategy from a sickness that, of course, him and his administration are not taking seriously themselves. Now, very interestingly, Dr. Fauci also was, quote, just knocked out for 24 hours after taking the conholio sickness jab, as he reported adverse side effects from the jab that included chills, aches, fatigue after getting the second dose of the Moderna jab, saying specifically that he was wiped out and knocked out of commission for 24 hours, and that these are actually the common effects for close to 50% of the participants in the Moderna jab trials. Now, what's going to happen on the third jab? Well, we'll see if Dr. Fauci even takes that. But the real adverse side effects out of this entire mess of a situation will, of course, be the larger social economic damages that will be coming our way very soon. Already, robotics and artificial intelligence were taking away many people's jobs, and of course, this hugely accelerated because of the conholio sickness. Many box stores and retailers are going out of business as well, and with foreign visas being back into play, taking a lot of the high-skilled jobs away from American people because they do it at a lower rate, and also lower-skilled jobs being taken by the new wave of immigration that's coming, it's definitely fair to say that many Americans will be left jobless very soon, since of course all the low and high paying skilled jobs are being absolutely eviscerated and demolished under the pro-billionaire corporate president Joe Biden, who of course with the stroke of a pen just suspended hundreds of pages of immigration laws and is incentivizing many people to come into the United States, as of course many caravans have already been set up in Latin America, again, under the Democrats' own thinking, a very dangerous act, especially during a pandemic. But still, again, the hypocrisy is not called out, as of course the media is focused on words and the removal of them, as of course we have another article here by Catherine E. Schochetti, who is detailing the brave actions of Joe Biden, removing words like alien from the laws as proposed in a new bill. Yeah, you would think we would have actual things to deal with, some of the hypocrisies to address, actually kind of move forward in a direction with this country that would benefit its people instead of just screwing them over time and time again with either neoconservative or neoliberal policies that ram us from both frickin' ends. Family-friendly show, you know the analogy I'm trying to make here. But if you're an American, you really have to start asking yourselves, what in the world is going on right now, and why am I allowing it to happen. Again, lots of utter lunacy, pandering, nonsense, propaganda, disinformation from the mainstream media, rather, of course, than the actual news that actually helps you. If you thought I somehow tried to do that or achieve that in any way, shape, or form, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more important than ever. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I can't even get into that are absolutely ridiculous, trying to, of course, hurt this independent media organization. I'm dealing with it right now, and as a stubborn, hard-headed Polish man, don't worry. We'll get through this just like we got through all the other storms that are happening. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and that's why thank you so much. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.